Hello and welcome. This is Barbara Monica, and today I want to talk to you about women's anger. So, we live in a patriarchy, and women's anger has been suppressed. I think it's really up in the collective at the moment. Firstly, in South Africa, where there's been a recent kind of rising up of women's resistance against the patriarchy. We're also watching the young Greta Thunberg, who's angry, and there's an enormous amount of reactivity that seems to emerge when women get angry. So I think one of the main problems with anger, with women's anger, is kind of women's own internal response to their anger. So, for example, if you get angry, perhaps afterwards you feel guilty or ashamed of your behavior. And really that internal reaction to your anger is probably the most important thing to deal with, and the thing that you have the most power over to be able to set yourself free. So I can remember going through this myself, and I think it was quite possibly one of the most liberating kind of internal shifts that I ever experienced. Because up until a certain point in my life, I tried to deny my anger, I tried to suppress my anger, I tried to sort of focus on love and gratitude and bring my attention to other emotional states. And all of that was, well, it had some merit, I suppose. It gave me some strength, but it certainly didn't help me with, in the deep and profound ways that just really becoming okay and comfortable with my anger enabled. So I really want to encourage you to be able to be with your anger. The next piece that really comes up is what to do with the anger. So once you become okay with anger as an internal state, and I'm just sort of thinking back in the beginning, because mine had been so suppressed, and I had a lot of it, I sort of almost couldn't sit with it. It had to kind of be expressed in some kind of way. So I don't really know where you're at as part of your inner journey. If you're in a situation that's been making you significantly angry for a long time, it's going to be quite difficult to kind of be in a meditative kind of place with your anger. But if you can, that's certainly a much safer way of being with it, at least in the beginning. Because anger really is a gateway to wisdom. So let's talk a little bit about how that works. So when you get an emotional hit and there's an angry response, it means some part of your inner core, your sense of self, your sovereignty has been undermined in some kind of way. And if you start to look at that and be with it and unpack it a little bit for yourself, you'll begin to be able to see what your values are, where you want your boundaries to be, and really how you want to live your life. Um, I think because we live in patriarchy and women's anger has been so suppressed, there's going to be places where you feel that what you want and what you need is somehow inappropriate. And that's sort of a whole nother big discussion, but I do think um, it's worth mentioning here because stuff might emerge in you that you don't necessarily approve of. So when you live in a patriarchy and the kind of thought forms that are common to women have been oppressed, you'll find that the material that arises can be really interesting and new, and sometimes you might have an internal reaction to that. So I think I'd like to raise some of the, the famous feminists now. So, if I think of Bell Hooks or, there's several other women who, have written and emerged work of a feminist nature, and they've brought forth an enormous amount of insight. And, the same thing kind of happened to me in my life. I sat with my anger, and as I sat with the anger, it brought forth a kind of insight into what was going on in society, the way men and women were playing their social contracts with each other, and it gave me a really, really deep insight into what's going on in our world. And I'm at a point now where I'm really thankful for my anger, because every time I go into a piece of anger, there's something rich in there for me that emerges. So, and I have to say it's significantly easier now. I've practiced being with my anger for, gosh, I don't know, at least 10 years. And going on 12 actually, if I think about it. And because I've converted so much of my anger to wisdom, I feel significantly more at peace. I know a lot more about who I am. I'm able to navigate relationships far more effectively. I've become okay with the things inside me that my anger was pointing towards. So let's try and talk about some of that. So maybe I was in a relationship and I wasn't getting my needs met, and that was making me angry. And when I first emerged those needs and what they were in my consciousness, I felt like those needs were not allowed or inappropriate in some way, because that's what we're taught in patriarchy as women, that our needs are inconsequential and inappropriate. And as I became okay with the anger, and then okay with the underlying need, and then became okay with expressing that need in relationship, I started to meet people who would meet that need in relationship, and the whole thing kind of has quietened my soul down in such deep and significant ways. So that's really the depth of anger. And Yeah, just really, I want to encourage women to really be okay with that anger. There's another part where I kind of think, well, you should consider what you're doing with it. If you are the kind of person who has been regularly spewing your anger and expressing it in an unrefined kind of way, and you're not making any progress with that, then I would really encourage you to kind of sit with that angry energy and try and allow its wisdom to emerge. If you're the kind of person who always plays nice, you might actually need to be a little bit bitey in conversation, and you let it kind of drive you to say something. Um, you know, all spiritual teachings are very much dependent on where you act. So, if a teaching doesn't resonate with you, if this doesn't resonate with you, then you just can let it go. And it's quite possible that sometime, another time in your life, it may resonate, or you might look at this and think, well, I've already done that process and I know my way through this, and then you just know, and that's fine too. So use your intuition and your ability to resonate, and work out how to meet your needs. Okay, thank you. I'm Barbara Monica, and I've got various videos on YouTube, yoga, and about various other spiritual things. So I hope you take a look at my channel.